Good morning. So good to be here. Such a sweet community here in Silver Beach, and every time I get a chance to be here, I just feel blessed. The community here is just, from the day that I walked in, is loving and embracing. When I first moved out here, I thought, I'm going to check out all the spiritual centers in the area. I'm going to see where I want to serve as a practitioner. And I came here and I never left. I never went to another center. I just knew this was home right away. So I feel like I'm back home. And then to be here with Lisa and Erica today, what a gift. Rumi lovers, and I love Rumi, and I feel like they're a big hug before and after the talk, and I just feel alive and blessed. So thank you. Thank you for sharing your beautiful hearts and your beautiful music. And then Reverend Donna, thank you. I think the world of you. So, my talk today is To Thy Own Self Be True. And with this, it really got me thinking about being true to myself and what that's all about. And the full quote is, To thy own self be true, and it must follow as the night, the day, thou canst not be false to any man. William Shakespeare. And so what I hear in that is to fill our cup. There's a lot of us, and I think a lot of us here today, that like to serve in this world, and there's a lot out there that needs service. And so to serve with love and to serve with compassion and to be with others and to be that bridge to help them, that first we need to fill our cup. And for me, that's been a journey. When I was first divorced, my boys were 5 and 6 years old, and I had somebody ask me during that time, well, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What do you want to be? And I couldn't answer those questions. And I lost myself. I became a mom and became a wife and an employee, and I forgot about Michelle. So I started on my spiritual journey back then, and it's been a journey. I feel so incredibly blessed to have been on it, but to be able to find that inner voice, to find out who I am, and how I've really found that is through meditation. And when I got involved with the spiritual center in Temecula, the first day that I went, I just sat and cried because I knew I was home, and I didn't know that there was a home that felt the way that I felt. The teaching being so open at the top and all-encompassing and diverse and about the love of God, and not the hell and damnation part that used to really scare me when I was a little girl, but was really about loving each other and being responsible for life. And so I got really involved there and started to get into meditation. And at first I thought with meditation that I couldn't do it. I had missing something. And that everybody else could do it and they could quiet their heads, but my head is just too loud. And so as I kept trying with this meditation, I just kept the chatter, and I was like, I can't do it. But then Reverend Michael Beckwith, I listened to his visioning CDs and had heard him speak, and I think the world of him. And what he said is that it's an excuse, it's a disease, a dis-ease, when you say that you can't do that. And that kind of made me mad, to the point that I knew I needed to do something different. I knew I needed to stick with it. I knew that I could get quiet. It started with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I worked my way through it. And so, and it was so cool because when I was at the spiritual center, somebody was asking me about my meditation practice. What I realized, and this is kind of how spirit works, is that when I answer them, is that I could hear that still small voice more than I could hear the chatter. And I wouldn't even notice that unless they asked me, that I was hearing that inner nudge, that inner voice, my innerness, that is my soul, that is spirit. And so this journey has been really beautiful, and I look back on it and I think about these past few years. And I think a lot of you knew those that heard me, when I spoke last time, I was getting ready to move to Ashland, Oregon. And then I met the man of my dreams online, and that's where he lived, and I was going to start my life there, and it's been beautiful, and then when I get there, I leave my job with Boys and Girls Club of America, which is a regional position, and a wonderful job, but I started not feeling aligned with that job. And when I wasn't feeling aligned with it, I knew that it was time to move on. And when I left, it was scary, because what I realized is that I attached my abundance to that position. And so I had a regular paycheck, and I had the benefits and the perks and all of those things. And so when I didn't have those, and it was really up to me and what I was doing in consulting and following my ministry, that it was just very wide open. It wasn't a given. And it was like I jumped off a cliff. And so during that time frame, I just kept walking through it, and the only thing that kept me going and not going and grasping another job that showed me that I had this, and I had this, and I had this, that safety net. I'm like, no, I can do this. I kept going in, and I kept going to my spiritual practice. And it was really a beautiful experience for me, but a lot of change. And so I have a quote around that. It may be hard for an egg to turn into a bird. It would be a jolly sight harder for it to learn to fly while remaining an egg. We are like eggs at present, and you cannot go on infinitely being just an ordinary decent egg. We must be hatched or go bad. C.S. Lewis. That's kind of in between the eyes, right? I mean, that's, but I feel that in my life as I keep getting these inner nudges, and I keep getting these feels like it's like spirits tapping on my shoulder, that it's time to do something different. And so as I'm doing the consulting position, I finished my job. I was an interim in Sacramento, and I finished in November, and I was really, really excited. I thought, oh my gosh, this is great. All of this kind of jumping off is about me being able to take all my experience into my ministry. So for me to be able to, and then to best serve in that way. And so after I finished my consulting job, I was with the Boys and Girls Club in Sacramento. I thought, this is it. I'm going to launch now. Watch me go. And so in December, I did a talk at the Spiritual Center in Seattle, and then I did a talk in Las Vegas, did some spiritual counseling, but there was something missing. And that nudge was nudging me. I didn't know quite what it was, but I knew it didn't feel comfortable. And I was like, oh my gosh, like my inner child was like, I'm trying to do all of this, and it's not working. Why? Why isn't it working? So what I realized when I started getting frustrated that I needed to go in again, and that I needed to listen. And so I took all of January as a retreat month. And in January, I let go of everything. I let go of where I should be, where I thought I needed to be, that I had to make something happen, and I just allowed me to be me. I allowed me to be true to my own heart. And in that time, I prayed, I meditated, I visioned, I journaled, and I even went on a personal retreat. I went to Mount Shasta, which is such a beautiful heart space area for me, and the nature is just off the chart gorgeous, and did all those praying, meditating, visioning things when I was there, and got in nature and really listened. And one of the things that I want to throw out to you is what's next for you to fill your cup up. Because a lot of times those opportunities come up, and I say, oh, I'm too busy, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. But really, taking care of ourselves are so important, and feeding our souls, filling our cups. And so during that time, I felt incredibly blessed to listen. And what was coming through was that I wanted to be in a place where I could be of service. I wanted to surrender to what was coming through, quit kicking my feet and thinking it needed to be a certain way, and I just wanted to flow with it like that river, that big river. I just wanted to flow with it. And I wanted to get back into the flow. And so I just kept opening to that. And where can I have deep impact? And where can I serve? During that time, a position became available at the Spiritual Center. And it was what I thought was the perfect job. What I thought in my head was the perfect job for me. And so I pursued that position, and it was taking all of my experience into my ministry. And it was a leadership position with the Spiritual Center. And so as I was moving through that process, I was still praying, meditating, visioning, and I get a phone call, and Santa Monica wanted me to come back as an interim CEO, which I had done before. And the last time I was there, which was a little over a year ago, they kept asking me to stay as the permanent CEO. I'm like, no, I've done that. I was a CEO in Temecula. I'm on my spiritual path. I'm going to be a minister and do all these great things. In my head, I'm thinking this. And so when I'm on the phone with them, they said, would you be interim? And I said, yes. And then they said, would you look at it on a permanent? And I said, yes. I didn't even know I was going to say yes. It just came through. I said, I'll consider it. And so I have both positions that I'm considering at the same time. And as I looked further into the spiritual position, the infrastructure wasn't as aligned with me as a leader. I didn't see where I could have that deep impact that I wanted to have. As I took the interim position in Santa Monica, I could see it. I could see what needed to be done. I could see the work. I could see myself in it. And all the doors were opening in a big way. And I withdrew from the spiritual job that I thought was going to be perfect. And I accepted the position in Santa Monica as the CEO for the Santa Monica Boys and Girls Club. And it has been a wild journey since then. And my fiance, Eric, who's here today, has walked through this with me in the most beautiful way. From the time that I was divorced over 20 years ago, I had been single, and so very much about listening and taking action. But now I'm in a place where I'm being true to myself, but we're also being true to our relationship. So we got to walk through this together. And there was days he had freakouts, and there was days I had freakouts, but we talked it all out, and it was a decision, and we both knew that if we were going to step into this, it was a part of his family, my family, and that we were both going to step together. That it wasn't going to be just me, it was going to be us stepping into it. And by the grace of God, we both stepped into it. And God's hand has been in all of this every step of the way. So we moved here 2 weeks ago. And it's been a ride, let me tell you. A lot of letting go and a lot of embracing, a lot of surrendering to what's coming through, and a lot of trusting Spirit every step of the way. Another quote is, things do not change, we change. And that's Henry David Thoreau. And so moving here, we let go of a lot of stuff. Eric took a big leap of faith coming here. Last weekend, we're staying at a studio in Topanga, and we were evacuated last weekend. And so it's this ride has been going, woo! And for me, I used to think when things got bumpy that I wasn't aligned. And now I realize, if I'm flatlining and everything's straight, then I'm not fully living. But life is like a heartbeat. Life is up and down, and to embrace those up and down moments. And so before the evacuation, my son, which is right over there, we'll point him out, that handsome guy right there, that's my 28-year-old son, Michael. And he takes me on this crazy hike. I'm like, are you trying to kill me? Because it is like straight down, I'm not even kidding, like straight down like 3 or 4 miles. And so after you go straight down and you finally get out towards the beach, you gotta go straight up. And it's like, Amy, I'm from Oregon now, I'm hot. And so I'm crawling out of the canyon, and I'm thinking to myself, the only thing I want right now is to be sitting back in my studio in Topanga under those oak trees and sipping a glass of wine. I deserve it. So when Eric and I get back there, they're like, we're evacuating. I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? And there's that little girl inside that wants to throw a fit sometimes. But then I know Spirit has me every step of the way. Spirit has me every step of the way. And sometimes I don't see it right away, but if I look hard enough, I can see it. And I'm so exhausted, it really helped me be in observer mode, and I'm just watching this evacuation take place. And I'm watching how everybody is interacting, and my dear friend Sally, who I love, loves that farm in Topanga more than she loves. I mean, it's a dream of hers. She has sheep and goats and a cat and a dog, and it's just a beautiful place. So watching her walk through this, she's grateful every step of the way. She's not freaking out. All the stuff didn't matter. It wasn't about the stuff. It was about family, and it was about making sure we got the goats and the sheep out. Okay, and the sheep were in the Lexus, so that was pretty fun. I can't believe we didn't get a picture of the sheep in the Lexus, because they were driving down PCH in the Lexus, which was pretty funny in itself, and it's part of the whole adventure, and Eric had to pick them up and get them in the truck, and yeah, it was quite the episode. But in walking through all of it, it does pare down what's important in life, and it does pare down that stuff is stuff. But love and family and friends and working together, that's what it's all about. And then to see Sally go through it in such a way that she didn't care about anything. She just wanted to know that everybody was safe. She was like, next indicated step. And I told her the next day, I said, I'm so awed by you. I'm learning from you with your gratitude and how to wrap gratitude around something that's so big and possibly losing your dream house. And that was an incredible insight to me. Instead of getting whiny about me wanting to be sitting outside with a glass of wine and saying, okay, we're going for another ride, and that's life. Life is a lot of wild rides. And the other part that makes me think about, and there's a quote from Lisa Michaels, when it comes to what it looks like every day. So since I've been back, some days have been so amazing, just incredibly aligned, and all these doors are opening, the lights are going on, and I'm just flowing, like I'm leaving. Like, okay, this is good. And then there's other days that are just tough. It starts out sometimes when I wake up in the morning. It starts out sometimes when the organization has just got some bumpy roads in it. And I remember what Lisa Michaels said is that there's some days that we run, there's some days we leap, some days we walk, and some days we crawl. But as long as we keep moving forward, it's right and perfect. Lisa. And so I think about that on the days that I'm crawling a bit or walking really slow, is that I'm moving forward. And how would I know that I'm leaping if I didn't have days that I crawled? And that's embracing all of life. How would I know that I'm blessed if I don't have challenging days? How would I know that I'm so aligned if I don't have days that I'm not aligned? And when all of this was coming through, this nudge, I was like, really? That's hard work. I did that before. Do I really be called into this again? And there's that little whiny side of me that was like, it's a lot. And but as I stepped into it, I'm absolutely loving it. I mean, to work for a mission to inspire and enable all youth to be caring and responsible citizens by empowering them to see how amazing they are. I mean, how blessed am I to be in this field? And then the aha moment came when I realized, and I kept thinking I had to take all my experience into my ministry, is that I could take my ministry into all my experience. And that was a big aha moment for me. Oh my gosh. And I can show up today in a way that I can show up today in a new way as a minister. I can show up being compassionate and being loving. And sometimes the CEO, that A-type, pushing things forward, I have a little bit of that in me. And so when I'm in Santa Monica now, I realize that it's about us all moving together as a team. And it's about consciousness. And so I can do it in a way that is my ministry. And we had a board retreat here yesterday, and we were talking about that, and I was talking about Boys and Girls Club, and Reverend Josh said, that is your spiritual center. Those kids, we serve 4,000 kids, we have 10 sites, and to see them excelling in the Boys and Girls Club is just, it's amazing. It's that safe haven, that sense of belonging, which is a spiritual center to all of us. We don't lose that when we get older. We still want to have that sense of belonging and to feel safe. So part of this journey too has been Eric along this journey with me. So you talk about the grace of God carrying us every step of the way. The grace of God has been fully carrying him as well through this journey. And this is a good time for a Rumi quote before I go on. Everyone has been made for some particular work, and the desire for that work has been put in every heart. So that's something that really, I think, resonates with all of us. We can tell when we line up about something. We can tell when we're aligned and when we feel good. We can really tell, and listening to that and trusting that. And then the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. And that's Alan Watts, and I feel like we've been doing some dancing lately. So with this, Eric left his job, and he's, moving to Santa Monica, crazy LA, and he's had some things on his heart that he's really wanted to do, which is being true to himself. And he wasn't that happy with his job in Medford. And so he has a patient, and his patient is the sister of the president of Otis Art Institute. So the sister calls him, his name's Steve, and tells him all about Eric and Eric's talents. Well, something that's been a part of his heart and his passion is to teach. And to be in that creative field. He has his degree in the arts, and to really express his soul's desire. So talk about spirit and divine synchronicity. All of this comes into his life right before we move here. He's met with Artist Institute, and he met with Stephen, and he wants Eric to create his own syllabus, to create his own class, which is such a beautiful blessing. And then also there's Eric's doing this repurposed furniture and this older wood and creating some really cool stuff. And he's told them about his ideas around this and giving the history of the wood and really making it a special piece. And they loved it so much they want him to create a class around that too. So as all of his desires are coming together in one beautiful place. So talk about the divine working in people's life. And the Spirit has been working through our lives. And the only time I feel like I get stopped in that flow or stopped up on it, trying to swim upstream, is when I forget that Spirit has me. And when I forget to trust. And every time that I trust and I say yes, and I step in, and Spirit comes to meet us, the universe comes to meet us, and then we can step in again. And it's an incredible blessing, and I feel so grateful, and I'm closer to my son Michael, and we've just really been blessed by the process. So a couple more quotes before I close is, progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. And that's George Bernard Shaw. And the other piece that I wanted to say is, through all of this and through days that could be challenging and driving a 24-foot rental moving truck through LA and all of this, moving our whole life and putting a lot of it in storage and just that whole shake-up of the change and not having our little, I can speak for me, my little comfort zones. But then choosing to see the blessings in what's coming up even when I'm not comfortable. And choosing to see the blessings on those days that I'm so exhausted that I just want to curl up with my blankie and drink a hot cup of tea and to keep going. And each time that I do it, I can feel my faith get stronger. I can feel my heart expand. And Eric and I have had that with our relationships. Our relationship has expanded going through this, and not that it hasn't been lumpy, it has, but we've decided to work through it together in a sense that is anchoring our relationship even stronger. And that's what this change has done for me too, is to see the blessing even in the challenges and to embrace it all and know that God is good, that God has me all the time, that God has every single one of us, and that God isn't just there when I pray, God is there all the time. And that God is there all the time for all of us in each step of the way. And that makes me think of a quote by Albert Einstein, is there's only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. And I think about that a lot. And I think about even sometimes when things are hard and I don't see it right away, I know that I'll see it. It might take a little time, but I know that there's something there for me to learn. And as I've been going through this journey, I just keep learning. I keep growing. And I just found out yesterday through Facebook that it was my 5-year anniversary of becoming a practitioner. And thank you. And it's close to my 3-year anniversary of when I started ministerial. So it's life is a blessing, and I'm so grateful that I'm learning to say yes. And when I lost myself so much right before I got divorced, is because I really kept myself in my comfort box and I forgot who I was. And the more that I'm true to myself, the more that I am true to myself, the more that life is out of that box. The more that life is out there, and it's that leap. And when I know that I'm aligned with Spirit and I leap, Spirit is always there to catch me. And then what comes forth, like what happened with Eric, is even beyond his dreams. I mean, to be able to be a professor and do all these things that you love and teach people about it, I mean, what an incredible blessing. So I'd like to end with a Rumi quote, but let the beauty of what you love be what you do. And so just for all of us to take that into our hearts, and it could be walking on the beach, it could be whatever it is for each and every single one of us, but to allow our hearts to just live. And I think that's where I was getting stopped up, is when I was forgetting to listen to my heart. And I was listening to my head, and that I truly can take my ministry into all of my experiences. So thank you. I appreciate you all, love you, and I'm so grateful to be here with you today. Thank you very much.